Alright guys, today we have a monster in here. This is a 2016 Polaris Sportsman 570. Obviously, she's not stock. We got snorkels, we got a radiator locator kit. This thing is freaking tall. It's got portals on it. These are GDP Super ATV portals. Very hard to find, I am told, for these 570s now because they have the strut system. MSA 14-inch wheels, Super ATV Assassinator, 34-inch tires. These things are massive. I mean, look at the ground clearance on this. I don't know, you probably can't even tell. But, so Sportsman 570, Grizzly 660. The tires are about level with the Grizzly 660 fenders. Look at the paddles on this thing. So the owner of this just got it this past year, I think it was, maybe last year. Didn't build this machine, he bought it the way it is. He took it out to a pretty deep mud hole. It took in water. It ruined the engine. So after it took on water, he brought it to another shop, had it rebuilt. New cylinder, new piston. If we look in here, you guys can tell or not, but it's definitely a brand new cylinder down there. After that, he took it on one ride and said he was putting around and it started spitting and sputtering, backfiring. And then I don't remember if he said it died on him or he shut it off. Either way, he went to start it back up and nothing. It would just click. Hook boosters up to it, same thing, just clicked. And it does the same thing for me. This has got a battery disconnect on it. We'll go ahead and turn that on. We gotta have the brakes on. Got that parking brake on there. As you can hear, it's just clicking. So obviously the running issue is the main reason he brought it here, but there's some other issues with this. These portals are leaking. They need to be taken apart, resealed. As you can see, they're leaking there. And actually, that one's not horrible. This back one is the worst. That one's leaking pretty bad, that one. That one's dry, but I don't know if we're going to take them all apart or just the ones that are leaking. Not sure. We got to get this thing running first. It also has no brakes. It feels like it has brakes, but it does not stop the machine at all. I can go ahead and roll this thing right now, and the parking brake is on. For his sake, I'm hoping it's either the starter solenoid or the starter itself, instead of the engine being locked up, because it's a possibility. First thing I wanted to confirm is the engine oil. Do we have any in it? I could tell it's got a brand new filter on it. Engine oil, full. It's nice and clear. That's a good sign. He basically wants this thing ready for spring. He doesn't want it now, he just wants it ready for spring. And I got plenty of other jobs to do besides this one. So why do I have it in the shop? Well, I want to make sure the engine isn't seized. If it is, at least we'll know which direction to go in. But I'm going to figure that out. I'm not going to do anything with the portals or the brakes or anything right now. Just going to see if we can get it running. Another reason why I'd like to get this thing running. This thing pushes so mean, especially out in the snow. These paddles, I don't know. I mean, you can get good grip with pushing them, but that thing just pushes so mean. I dragged it from the road over to the garage here with the tractor, but then I had to push it in here because I didn't want to push it with the blade or anything. So I pushed it in by hand. Man, that thing just moves so mean. So first thing we're gonna do, give her a little extra juice. The seat weighs about 50 pounds. I think it's soaked with water. Yeah, it is. I can feel it. Negative. We'll confirm it's still doing the same thing. I took the brake off, didn't I? Still doing the same thing. You can just hear that solenoid clicking up front. Looks like somebody already had this off. I'm gonna go ahead and check the voltage at the starter. So we should have 12 volts at the starter. If we do not have 12 volts at the starter, then we gotta backtrack and check our solenoid. If we do have 12 volts at the starter, well, it means either the starter is bound up or the engine's bound up, which is making the starter bound up. So let's find out. All right, so our starter's in here. Okay, now you can see the brand new cylinder in it. Go ahead and crank this to DC. So I got my ground right on the battery, and then we're gonna put our positive lead to the starter here. Watch the voltage while I hit the key. Now it shows 7 volts. So 7 volts is not enough, but is the 7 volts because it's bound up and it's causing the voltage drop? Or are we actually getting 7 volts? Let's track this starter solenoid down. Solenoid is located right here. It's a little hard to get to. You can see the connection's pretty rusty. Could be just a bad connection. Pull that wire off, see what voltage we're getting. So now I'm gonna check voltage right here at the solenoid. So we're getting 12 volts there. All right, so we're getting good voltage there. So we're either getting a voltage drop from the wire starting at the solenoid, going to the starter, or the voltage drop is just because of the excess amp draw of the bound up starter. We are about to find out though. We're gonna pull this positive wire right here at the starter. All right, so we're gonna check this now. Perfect voltage. So that certainly means our starter or engine is bound up. Let's pull the starter. And cross our fingers. They never make the access to any of these things easy. Remove that. All right, before I go ahead and remove this starter, I'm gonna go ahead and blow it off because there's a bunch of mud in there. One bolt right there. There's barely enough room to get it out. The top one you have to remove, and then you can kind of wiggle this up a little bit to be able to sneak it by. Now there is a rubber O-ring that seals it in there, so sometimes those stick. You gotta wiggle them back and forth. Just like so. Alrighty. That's good. That starter's locked right up. Can't even turn it by hand. Looks like it's been beat on a time or two. I did not do that. I don't know if he's gonna want a new starter, a used starter. I don't know what he wants. I'll have to ask him. But for now, I have a used one. I have a Polaris Sportsman 570 Ace torn down. The engine's completely torn down. I know that has a good starter on it. I'm gonna go steal it, throw it on this, just so I can hear this thing run and see how she sounds. I mean, if he wants to buy the used one off me, that's fine. If he wants a new one, no problem. I'll take this off. All right, we're back with the starter. Like I said, definitely not new, but I know it works. Let's throw it in. Same way it came out, just like that on that angle. And we'll just go ahead and wiggle it back and forth until we get it in the right spot, about right there. Go ahead and throw this peen bolt in first. This is actually more of a pain to take off than put on. Are we placing our bets? Is she gonna start? Why did that starter motor fail? Because if this engine was seized, that would explain why the starter would fail too. But I think what happened, first time it got drowned, I bet they cranked it over and cranked it over and cranked it over, and that starter just got so hot that it probably burnt up on them. That's my guess. I don't know. All right, get the wires hooked up. Let's try her again. Anybody want to take bets? I think she'll start. Oh no. Oh no. I know they got this sealed up, but I'm gonna pull it and we'll reseal it for them after. That is really on there. Go ahead and check fuel pump pressure. All right, he had the exhaust off, so I stuffed the HMF pipe back on there just to see if a little more back pressure might help it. Pull the plug, see how she looks. All right, 5/8. It's a little black. Let's check the fire on the old girl. Looks like decent spark. See fuel coming out the plug hole though. Almost. I don't think I hear any knocks in the engine. Actually, that's the longest I've heard this thing run for. Might be coming out of it. And it's not taking much throttle, or any throttle. But it's starting and idling now. That's a good sign. Let's pull that intake. I don't care what it's gonna take. Gotta pull this off. Actually, it's coming off now. Must have already started it. All right. Well, Doesn't really look plugged up in there. Let's see what she does. Yeah. Hard to say. I don't like when it comes to a halt, it kind of screeches though. Well, time to hook her up to the computer, see what we're getting. See if we're getting any faults, check some stuff, and go from there. Our plug for these is up by the radiator. Plug her in. Plug her into the laptop. Check tech. Trouble codes. Get historic codes. Okay, so we got ECU faults here. Throttle release signal, throttle stuck. Vehicle speed erratic. Vector mag side, driver circuit open grounded. Crankshaft position sensor fault. Actually seen a few of the crankshaft position sensors go bad on these 570s. Let's go ahead and clear these codes out, see what sticks. So they're all cleared. Yeah, let's fire up again here. See if she'll take some throttle. It's definitely the crank position sensor's obviously working, otherwise it wouldn't read RPMs for one, and it wouldn't be running. So let's go ahead and give her some throttle here. Just very low on power. Oh. Definitely got a crank issue. Unless for some reason that top end is very dry, but I highly doubt it. He probably put a new top end in it and never checked the connecting rod. After hearing that, I'm pretty certain the connecting rod's sticky and it needs to be replaced. Well, that is not what I wanted to see at all. Well, that's obviously horrible news for the owner. Now, yes, it needed a starter. However, it needed a starter because it was cranking over so much due to a bad crankshaft. That thing's gonna need a complete rebuild. I'm guessing with the crank being bad, it probably put pressure on the piston and cylinder. I don't know. I don't know how long you ran it. I don't think he ran it that long, so maybe the cylinder will be okay. Probably gonna need minimum crank, all new gaskets, seals. That really sucks for the owner. Also sucks for me and you guys because I thought we were gonna be able to do a test ride on this thing today out in the snow, but apparently not. This will be the next video, I'm thinking. I already got most of it done. I'm waiting on a couple of parts, but that'll be next. Somebody was asking about my Grizzly because I did a video on this a while ago. This thing looked way worse than it does now, and actually it looks pretty decent other than missing racks and some other parts. I'd love to finish this, but there's just no time with all the customers' rigs.